Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much to everyone who's made the journey to be here tonight. So, the BBC loves illegal immigrants so much it started putting them in the Question Time audience. Take a look at this.
Ashraf, where are you sitting? Ashraf, there you are. Can you just... So you came over from Afghanistan on a small boat in the last 4 or 5 years, I think.
Yes, I come from Afghanistan.
So...
Right, so, yes, that bloke broke into Britain on a small boat. But he wasn't the only one.
You came over on a small boat. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
Right, and the BBC's Fiona Bruce was pretty proud of having all these small boat migrants in the audience. In fact, she actually revealed that the BBC went looking for them.
I mean, since we were talking about immigration in this programme today, we thought, and we will be talking about people like you, we would see if there were, 2 or 3, 4 people who wanted to come along who are in that situation.
Yeah, just nipped down the local migrant hotel. Said, fancy, you ever heard of Question Time, lads? Fancy popping in? We're doing a special on you today. Anyway, I'm surprised that the BBC hasn't offered them an internship. I mean, how long is it before we have jobs at the BBC that are only open to illegal migrants? But one of our Iranian friends seemed very knowledgeable about the ECHR.
Let me say something first. I just want to clear that leaving the convention doesn't just affect the migrants in Northern Ireland and damage our security cooperation.
Yeah, OK. I'm pretty suspicious about how he managed to brush up on the Northern Ireland Protocol shortly before he went on telly, I'll be honest with you. But anyway, look, I'm sorry, mate. You don't get to break into my country and then lecture us about what we should and should not be doing here with our laws. I wonder if this is a new low for the BBC. There's nothing more important than keeping your money and your identity safe online. And with so many VPN options available, choosing the right one can be pretty daunting. But this video's sponsor, ExpressVPN, is making the choice easier for GB News viewers. ExpressVPN is offering up to 75% off, plus 4 extra months free. That's top-level security from just £2.49 a month, and you're covered by their 30-day money-back guarantee. So just click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code now. Remember, when you're online, you are often sharing personal data, so hackers can steal your information, your passwords, your photos, and your bank details in just seconds. But ExpressVPN encrypts your connection, making it virtually impossible for hackers to access your personal information. So why choose ExpressVPN? Well, it couldn't be easier to use. With just one click, you are protected. And ExpressVPN uses military-grade AES 256 encryption, which is the same standard trusted by the US government to guard their classified information. With their new tiered plans, you can protect up to 14 devices at once and manage passwords securely. Live chat support is available 24/7, and it typically connects you in under a minute with a real person. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 75% off ExpressVPN, plus 4 months extra for free. Start protecting yourself today with ExpressVPN. Let's get the views of my panel, get the views of the audience. As ever, just wave frantically if you want to say something. If you get so angry that you can't contain yourselves and you need to get the microphone, we'll get it to you. But Russell, I'll start with you. What do you make of the BBC planting illegal migrants in the in the crowd?
Literally unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, it's one scandal at the BBC after another, and it also adds to the list of incentives, doesn't it, for illegal migrants to come over? 3- and 4-star hotels, flat screen telly, 3 meals a day, trampoline lessons, and a little slot on the BBC if you fancy it. Wow. Look, and I think Zia said it very, very well this morning in his kind of response to this, particularly, in the cold light of day, as Patrick said, that they actually went out to find these people. I think we should also ask the question, did they pay them? Can you imagine if they paid them?
Expensive.
Sorry, they paid them.
Yeah, expensive.
But you can't provide money to asylum seekers, that's illegal. Outside of the government expense.
I think they are now. So, look, I could be wrong about this, but my understanding is that they are now. They've been accepted. They've been approved as asylum for asylum. So I think presumably in that case you can.
Right, so they're no longer in the process.
No.
They've come out the other side. And of course, most asylum seekers do get asylum granted. Look, I think the fact that these people have come here illegally and have been rewarded by being paraded on television, I mean, what next? I mean, murderers, paedophiles on Question Time and Newsnight? I mean, seriously.
Well, I mean, what? Oh, I was joking there somewhere about the BBC.
Careful.
I'm not sure.
I didn't just mean the people that work there.
It was right there. I saw my career flash before my eyes. No, I'm not going to do that, actually.
Your lawyers saw their career flash before their eyes.
Oh, I'm going to have to get it out in the break. Anyway, right. Sir, you got a point to make, I believe, on the front row here, have you? Would you like to say it? What is it?
No, I did just wonder initially, do these people apply to go on? Have you got illegal immigrants applying to go on to the BBC to ask questions, or is it the other way around? But I've just seen there that the BBC actually went out and looked for them. Now, the BBC is forever saying about the neutral nature of their audience, and we notice this a lot when Nigel and people from Reform and others right-wing parties are on the panel. Typically, they say it's a balanced audience. But I think it clearly shows the audience is exactly who they want the audience to be, and so it's balanced only to the mind of the BBC.
All right, interesting. Got a good point, sir. Thank you very, very much. So, Linda, your views on the planting of two asylum seekers?
So I must say that when I look at the boats coming ashore and I sort of scrutinise all these men coming in on the inflatables, I'm itching to ask them, why are you doing this? Why are you coming into my country when you know that a lot of people don't welcome you here? Now, some do, some don't. But I must say that I would have welcomed the opportunity to ask some questions, sure. They may not have been nice questions. They may not have welcomed me with open arms. But actually, I would have liked the opportunity to question them.
OK, all right, fair enough. Christo, I thought that it was quite interesting that the guy rattled off all this stuff about the ETHR and the Northern Ireland Protocol.
Quite the expert.
But we finally found our constitutional expert on the Good Friday Agreement. I mean, who knew he would be in Iran? I think that, I mean, there has been a lot, you're right, to talk about the fact that there's been a lot said about whether migrants have a propensity for being inappropriate when it comes to you know, sexual crimes. And so I think it's really good that the BBC takes those sorts of things so seriously, and that there would be no chance of anything happening there, because, of course, they don't have a history of that, do they? Now, I think we found the perfect solution, actually, to stop the small boat crisis. We just tell them when they land at Dover, you're going to have to go on Question Time. Yeah. I'm really sorry, but that is going to be what happens when you come to the UK. Look, I actually agree with Linda on this. I'm sorry, I think that if you're going to have a debate about immigration, it's not unreasonable to have some people who've come on small boats within that debate. Now, I do think it was wrong that they didn't tell the panel long enough before, and I also think it would have been better if they had on that panel, not on the panel, but in the audience, you know, some of the people who had perhaps protested outside of the hotels, some of the, you know, we've had the Pink Lady on this show. Okay. I think that actually to counterbalance the fact you've got migrants in the audience, you have them as well. You invite those people on.
But that would be balanced from the BBC, which you never see. So.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't have a problem with hearing from them.
Let's bring Barry in. Barry, your views on this, really.
Listen, I'm just waiting for the day when GB News plants a few Labour voters in this audience. That's what I want, right?
There you go.
OK? Talking about balance in audiences. But look...
There aren't any Labour voters left, Barry. You've tried to find them.
Yes, I'm sure, Christo. Look, first out, they weren't asylum seekers, they were refugees. That means they'd been accepted. Yeah, well, you go, but it's a genuine distinction. These people have been accepted as having had a legitimate claim. So, now, you may say I disagree with the courts, but that's what's happened. The court has tried their case, looked at it, and said, yeah, actually, these people are legit. Whether you agree with it or not, that's their status, OK? I think Linda's right. There are questions that they can answer. And actually they did on the programme, because one of them said, when asked, well, why Britain? He said, well, because I've tried, and I know you're going to laugh. He said, because I've tried all these other countries, and they wanted nothing to do with us. But the answer to that is, a lot of other countries that they tried, and I won't rehearse which ones they were, don't operate a legitimate system, a legitimate court system, which tests whether they have a genuine fear of persecution in their country of origin. We do. And when people are coming from Iran, I think most people would accept that Iran is not a friendly state. It's, creating all sorts of mayhem, not only in the Middle East, but also in supplying its drones to Russia. So if these people are coming as dissidents from Iran, if they're coming from places like Afghanistan, where women are not allowed an education, where people, are treated, women are treated in the most appalling fashion.
So, can I just say, Barry, if that's the case, why, Barry, if that's the case, why are there no women coming over on the boats?
The reason, there's a very good reason for that, and it's this: because the journey is incredibly dangerous and arduous, and actually the men come on that journey because at the end of it, they then are able, under international law, to say, we will
really, Barry? Really, Barry?
Yeah.
This is a bit of a Disney tale, isn't it?
I've done some things that have really wound
I think Emily would be okay. I actually think Emily would be fine.
She'd probably be quite happy to see the back of me, actually. But I mean, it's like I've done some things in life that have really wound Emily up. But I think leaving her on her own in a war zone,
and she can't drive or operate machinery or anything, so she can't look after herself.
A bridge too far.
Also, I think that it is true that men are stronger, but I've actually interviewed a mother and two small children. She called it the peep, and I couldn't work it out for a long time. It's the pipe, that's their name. It's Albanian, that's what they call the boat, the peep. And she came over with two small children. So it's not unheard of.
No, it's not.
Women and small children come over. But let me just say one thing. When I did, I sometimes talk about it, a programme where I taught English to asylum seekers and refugees, I spoke to an Iranian mother and daughter, and I said, you know what, why do you come, just out of interest, because I was getting a little bit tense, why do you come here? And she said, well, because it's comfortable and it's nice and we can speak English. Very clever, both academics, very clever. And I said to her, well, who do you think pays for this? Who do you think pays for you? And she said, well, the government. And I said, and where do you think the government gets the money from? And she said, well, they just have government money, don't they? There was not a single line of logic which led her to see that we paid for them.
Yes, quite.
What's it called, the thing they come over on?
The peep. That's Albanians.
So they come on the peep and then they end up on pip.
The pipe.
One thing I'll say is when the gentleman last night from Afghanistan was asked about why did you leave your wife behind, he didn't actually answer that question. He did then go on to say, well, I didn't like Afghanistan, and Afghanistan was a terrible place. He didn't actually directly answer why he left his wife behind, which I thought was, I don't know whether he understand the question or he deliberately.
I have a lot of Afghani citizens in my own constituency, and as Linda says, many of them are incredibly highly qualified. Judges,
Iranians,
women...
more than Afghanistan.
Well, the Iranians are very highly educated.
I agree.
But we have a number of Afghan women in my constituency who were, judges in Afghanistan. They were senior medics in Afghanistan. They're desperate to contribute to our society, and many of them ultimately don't understand why we let them down by, for 20 years, changing that horrible structure where women were oppressed for so long. And then we just walked out and left them to cope with the Taliban coming in, raping women. I have one case where a family, one girl threw herself off the roof of her house to commit suicide, and the other took poison to commit suicide because they were afraid that because the Taliban kept on coming to their door and they were going to be taken away and raped.
Why would their husbands leave them there?
Because it was in that particular case, the husband was already here before the change happened.
Could have fought against the Taliban.
We did take tens of thousands of Afghanis that supported us in Afghanistan, interpreters and so on. So let's be fair to ourselves, I think.
Actually,
but also,
a lot of them were Uber drivers. They weren't
can I also just correct the record? The notion that someone travels through 6 countries, as one of those gentlemen did, and applies in all 6 of those countries and gets turned down for asylum, the simple reason as to why people come here is because we are a soft touch. Simple as that.
OK. All right. Look, on that note, we have got a statement here from a spokesperson from the BBC, Question Time specifically, actually. It says, as immigration continues to be a primary concern for people in the UK, Question Time had a special episode in Dover with panellists from across the political spectrum and a local audience with a range of views and experience. It was not local, was it? But anyway, over 20 audience members asked questions and contributed to the debate, including 2 people with direct experience of the asylum system in the UK who've been granted refugee status. All the parties represented on the panel were told the day before the show that there will be people in the audience who had been through the asylum system. So there you go. Right, loads more to get stuck into.
So why did Zia Youssef say what he did?
Yeah.
Because
I think he just denies that they told him, basically. He just says they didn't tell me.
So is Zia Youssef lying or is the BBC lying?
Yeah.
Well, again,
let me think, because the BBC have got no record of dishonesty at all.
The asylum system is different to actually having come on a small boat, and I wonder whether he didn't know.
OK, sorry, we've got to wrap it through because we've got loads to squeeze into, but it's